Hey Queens, welcome back to my channel. So one of my huge reading goals for this year that will definitely be renewing into next year is that I want to reduce the number of currently reading series I have, because there's quite a lot. If I don't read a series back to back, the chances of me finishing it in any amount of decent time very low. So I thought it'd be fun to show you guys every series that I am currently in the middle of, and that is including ones that are up to date but are still having books published. There are definitely quite a few series that I started years ago at this point that I've not continued, and I'm not sure whether I should continue as well. So if there are any of these series that you think it's not worth me continuing, do let me know in the comments. Obviously, if it's a series that I'm still very highly interested in, I will ignore that. But if it's one that I'm on the fence about, then that might sway me into deciding not to continue, because a lot of those earlier series, like, I got back into properly reading in 2016, 2017. Some of those series I read then and haven't continued since, so I would need to reread what I've already read to continue. I am going to put a little counter on either side. One side is going to be the total number of books I need to read to complete the series I'm currently in the middle of, but I'm also going to have a counter of total number of books I own that I need to read to continue. So like, if I was to not buy another book, how many books I would need to read to get as up to date as I can be with what is currently on my shelves. The only thing I'm not going to count in that counter is Percy Jackson, because whilst technically I'm currently reading the original Percy Jackson and the Olympian series because of the new books that have recently been published, I do plan on going back to the start and reading every series in not quite publication order, just because of the fact that that would be too much switching in between series, but generally keeping series together within publication order of that, just so that I get to fully experience the world. I know some are way more linked than others are, so I'm not going to include that on the counter because technically I'm going back to the beginning, but everything else will be counted. The first series is the House of Night series by PC and Kristen Cast. I have read Marked way back in 2017, and I started Betrayed, like my bookmark is still in there, but I had it in my school bag when I was walking home, and I can't remember whether it was absolutely torrential rain or whether a car splashed me or what, but the book got absolutely soaked, and I told myself I was going to rebuy it and continue, but I just never did. And now it's been 7 years since I read this. I would definitely need to reread it. So I'm not sure whether it is one I'm interested in continuing, but I don't want to completely write it off yet. But there are 12 books in this series and I would need to reread this. So I'm counting all 12 as need to be read to have completed. Next is the One of Us is Lying series. I have read One of Us is Lying and One of Us is Next, but One of Us is Back came out last year, I think. Yeah, but I do need to read one more book to complete this series. Next we have the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. I have read the first 3, but you are supposed to read Infernal Devices, or at least start Infernal Devices, before getting onto City of Fallen Angels, and you are meant to read it in publication order because apparently things get spoiled. I've tried to do that twice now, and every time I've done it I've just been in such a momentum of this series that when I switched to Infernal Devices I couldn't care less. But everyone does love Infernal Devices more, so it's definitely just a timing of reading the issue. But I think I'm just gonna like read a recap of these because I'll definitely be able to find that online before getting into Infernal Devices, so that hopefully I can finish this, because I do have a lot of the books in this universe because I really enjoyed the Shadowhunters TV show, and one of my close friends loves this universe, and so I got a bit excited and bought a lot of the books in it. Sorry if the angle or lighting or anything has changed. My battery died, so I did have to charge my camera up for a little bit, but I am back. I cannot remember what I was in the middle of saying. I do know that I was in the middle of talking about Mortal Instruments, but I cannot remember what I was saying. I think I might have been talking about I'll give this one more shot, and if I can't continue the series, the next time I try I will just give up on this series and haul all the books that I have, but considering I do have so many of them in the whole universe, I want to give it at least one more go, but I'm only adding 3 more to the tally because this is technically its own series and the only one I've actually started. Next up we have the Illuminae Files by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I have read Illuminae and Gemina, so I just need to read Obsidio and Memento, which is like the prequel. But I do think I am going to have to reread these in order to read this. They are quick reads, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Next up is the #Murder Trending series. This one was quite an interesting one. I did quite enjoy this when I read it, but it was quite a while ago. It's like, I think it's famous murderers get put on an island to sort of figure out who is the best murderer, but the main character isn't actually a murderer, I think. I can't really remember, but I liked it enough that I bought the next 2 in the series straight away, and then I didn't continue it, but it is just these 2 that I need to read. But again, it is a series that I'm not sure if I actually want to continue it or not, because I read this in 2019, so 5 years ago, and I don't know if it would hold up now. Next I have the Dear Martin series by Nick Stone. I don't actually remember if I knew that this was going to be a series when I read it, but I really did enjoy this one. The second book is called Dear Justice, but it's just one that I'm not sure whether I'll continue, just because I'm not sure if I am interested in the next book. Like I said, I don't remember knowing this was a series when I first read it, so yeah, not sure about that one, but I will add it to the tally for now. Next is the Old Town Shops series by Casey West. This is The Distance Between Us, which is the first book, and the second book is On the Fence, I think it's called. Yeah, On the Fence. I used to be obsessed with Casey West, really enjoyed all her books that I read. She is just an author that I've gone off, I feel like I've grown out of her a bit, so again I'm not sure if I will continue this series, but I did really enjoy all her books. So I've not actually tried reading, it's not that I've read a book of hers and been like, oh, this isn't for me anymore. I've just not been as interested to pick them up anymore, but I do have quite a few of her books left to read. Next series is the Royal series by Rachel Hawkins. This again is a duology. The next book is called Her Royal Majesty, I think? Her Royal Highness, and I really did enjoy this one, and at the time was excited to get to the next one, but I didn't realise I was looking for a cover to match this. I didn't realise that actually the second book is only available in the rebrand, and I would need to repurchase this if I wanted them to match. But I think I rated this like 4 stars. I really did enjoy it, and I do like a royals romance, so I am still interested in this series. Next is the London Calling series by Alexis Hall. So I have read boyfriend material, I have husband material I need to read, and then father material is coming out. It was meant to come out last month, but when I looked in preparation for this video, it still had like cover to be revealed, so I don't know what's going on with that. But yeah, again, this is one that I really enjoyed. So I am excited to continue on the series, but I'll probably wait till father material at least has a proper release date. Next is The Girls I've Been by Tess Sharp. I don't think I knew this was the series when I read it, and the sequel came out this year. I'm not sure whether I am interested in continuing the series, because like I said, I read this thinking it was a standalone, and I don't remember being too annoyed that it was a standalone. So I might just leave it at that, but do let me know if you have read the second book, if you think it's worthwhile. Next up is Heartstopper. I'm not getting the ones that I've read out because they're currently in a difficult to reach spot on my shelves, but this is on my TBR cart because I do have a shelf which is all my next in series books. So I'm just going to show you this one, but I've read volumes 1 to 4, just need to get to this one, and then volume 6 whenever it comes out. Should be an easy, quick read. I don't know why I've put this off so long, to be honest. Next is the Fence series by C.S. Pacat. Yeah. So I've read volumes 1 to 4. I need to read volume 5, and then there is a volume 6 coming out, or it's already out and I've just not got it. But yeah, these are fun. Each volume is, I think, 4 volumes of the actual like comic put together. Next is the Finlay Donovan is Killing It series. I've read the first book, but I've been putting these two off because I feel like everyone who I've seen has read this series has said that it goes downhill with each book, so I'm scared. And there are like 2 more books at least. I don't know if they're both out, but there are definitely at least 2 more books in the series. That's another one that I'm like, do I just leave it at the first book? Next up we have The Sad Ghost Club. This is a graphic novel series by Liz Meddings, and a lot of people were really enjoying this when I picked it up, and I thought it was just okay. So I'm not in any rush to continue, but it is a graphic novel series, so I feel like it wouldn't be too hard to continue. But I think there are 3 or 4 books in the series. I'm not sure, I think it's 4. Next we have Bloom. This is volume 1. I need to get volume 2. But this was a fun little graphic novel. I just haven't gotten around to even buying the second one yet. I do like that the pages are like blue. But yeah, cutesy, fun time. Next is the Hunger Games series. So I have read the original trilogy, but I just need to read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes to be up to date. And then there's also the Rise of the Reaping, Sunrise of the Reaping, whatever it's called. The new one that's going to come out. Really do love this series, so I am excited to get to this one. Next is a duology. We have The Way I Used to Be, and I've just realised that these 2 books are different sizes. That's annoying. By Amber Smith. So I have read The Way I Used to Be, and the sequel is The Way I Am Now. Again, this is one that when I read this book, it wasn't going to be a series. Next is The Way I Used to Be by Adam Silvera, or I think the series is called Deathcast. There has been a prequel released, and they've actually announced a sequel as well. This is another one that when I read it, it was only a standalone, and now there's 2 more books I need to read to complete the series, but I'm not too sure I want to. Like with a couple of the others, this was just fine to me. I know a lot of people loved this, but it was just fine. I didn't dislike it, but there was nothing special about it, so I don't know if I want to read 2 more books in this world. I've not really seen many reviews on the prequel either, so maybe I'll look into the reviews to decide whether I'm actually going to continue the series, but for now it is being added to the statistics. Next up is the Kiss Quotient series by Helen Huang. I really enjoyed this, just haven't picked up the others, and I've not heard much about the others in this series either. But the others are The Bride Test and The Heart Principle are the others in the series. So yeah, like I said, I did really enjoy this, but I've just heard nothing about the rest of the books in this series, and that scares me because this book was quite talked about, I feel like. Next up we have the Twisted series by Helen Huang. I have read Twisted Love and Twisted Games. I just need to get to Twisted Hate and Twisted Lies. I did really enjoy the first 2. This is just a lot of these series, like, yes, some have a reason why I haven't continued, but some of them it is just that maybe I didn't have all the books when I first read it, and by the time I got the next books I was engrossed in something else, or maybe I just wasn't in the mood to continue the series there and then, and it just got left to the wayside. Like, a lot of these don't have a specific reason why I've not continued. A lot of them I am very excited to continue, but I just have so many series. Next we have the Bellinger Sister series. This I absolutely loved. I think I might have given this 5 stars, if not it was like 4.5. And it is just a duology, so I really should get to this. If I finished all the duology, like every duology that's on this list, you know, I only have to read one book to complete the series, my list would probably half. Next is The Edens by Daphne Perry. I loved this book so much, but because at least when I read this, these were indie published. I don't know if they still are. They're slightly more on the expensive side, so I've just not bought any more of them. I think there's like 7 or 8 in the series. Yeah, so we've got Juniper Hill, Garnet Flats, Jasper Vale, Crimson River and Sable Peak, but then there's also 2 short stories or novellas that I am interested in reading. Next up we have ACOTAR. Now I have read these, I just need to read Silver Flames, and then I have it in my head that there are going to be more books in this series, but they've not been announced like title or release date wise, but I feel like in my head I do have it that she has said this series is going to continue, but I couldn't find any information on Goodreads or Storygraph about further books in the series, so maybe I'm making that up. But yeah, I am very intimidated by this book. First of all, it is so long, but second of all, it's not from Feyre's point of view, and I'm scared because I don't like Nessa, or Nesta, however you say her name. I don't like her. I don't want to read from her point of view. Also, for the purposes of the tallies, I am only going to count this just because the other 2 that I think are going to exist I can't actually find any information on, so I could have made them up, so I am only going to count this in my tally of what needs to be read. Next is one of my faves, Chestnut Springs by Elsie Silver. I have read the first 3, I just need to read Reckless and Hopeless. I know for a fact that this was one where I didn't have the next books when I finished, what's this one called? Powerless? Yeah. I didn't have, Hopeless wasn't released and I didn't have Reckless when I read Powerless, and that is why I stopped in the flow, because I'm pretty sure I read these 3 pretty much back to back. If not, it was very close together. I'm so excited to finish these and to get on to Elsie's other series. I love her books. So these are definitely a top priority. Next we do have the Dream Harbour series by Laurie Gilmore. I need to get to the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. That's the first one that I've read. I need to get to the Cinnamon Bun bookstore super quick so that I can read this Christmas, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to continue the series until next year, which is an issue because I did really enjoy these. I've only read the 1 book, but yeah, I desperately need to get to this so that I can read this year. I do plan on doing a Christmas romance reads vlog, and I want to be able to include this in that vlog. So if I don't, you know to shout at me in the comments to read it. I want to have finished this year having read these. When it hits 2025, I will have finished this trilogy, these 3 books. It's not a trilogy, there's more books coming out. Next is the My Roommate is a Vampire series by Jenna Levine. I've got this one to read, and then there's another one coming out, I think it's My Vampire Road Trip or something like that. I found the first one super cute. I'm excited to read this. I do think I will be able to read this not in like spooky season. I should be fine. But if not, I better read both this and the next one in October next year, because we're not leaving it another year. I have been going down my spreadsheet, so we have been going in order of when I started each series, and we're finally onto the series that I started this year. There is a lot. I think I've started like 10 this year, but first one is the Friend Zone series by Abby Jimenez. You've got Life's Too Short and the Happily Ever After playlist, I think they're called. I love Abby's work. I want to get through her backlist, which is basically completing the series I've started. But yeah, I just need to get them. Next is Love and Hate by Ella Mace. So I've read To Love Jason Thorne, I just need to read To Hate Adam Connor. I didn't overly love this, so I have told myself that I'll read 1 more book by her, and if I don't like that I'll unroll all the books I have by her. So whether or not this series gets completed will be decided on whether this is the next book I read by her or not. Next up we have the Well Met series by Jen DeLuca. I've only read the first. I need to read the last 3. I honestly bought these because the Afterlight editions were so cute, because when you take off the dust jackets, it has them in their Renaissance Fair garb, which I find adorable. But I did have a lot of fun with the first one, so I do enjoy the series and want to continue. Next up is DNA Duo by Christina Lauren. So the first book is The Soulmate Equation, which I have read, really loved this, and the second book is this, I think it's called The True Love Experiment. Yes, it's called The True Love Experiment. I didn't know it was a series when I bought it, but I think I did by the time I read it. Honestly, thinking back to when I read this, I can't think who the other couple is, but I do feel like when I was reading it I could tell who the other couple was going to be, and I do think I was interested in it, so I need to get to that quickly. Next we have Abby Jimenez's other series, which is the Part of Your World series. So I've read Part of Your World, I've got these 2, and then there is a novella called The Situationship, which is also set in this world. I have a bone to pick because I prefer the US cover of Yours Truly to the UK cover. It's pretty similar, just the colour, I prefer this. So when I was in America for my 21st, I bought Yours Truly, and I also bought Part of Your World, because even though it's the same cover here, I was like, I want it to be the same size, I'll buy this in America. Tell me why these are not the same size. These are both American copies. Why are these not the same size? So I gave up and got the UK copy for this, because these already don't match, so at least now it's going down in, you know, I think it'd be worse if 2 were the same height and 1 wasn't, so each book goes down in order of the series, at least there's that. Next up is the Inheritance Games series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I read the Inheritance Games for, I was going to do a video reading different YA mysteries, and I just scrapped that video because it took me so long to continue. Like, I still haven't read the other books I was going to read for that video, and I read this back in July. I just kept on putting it off for other things, so I decided to scrap it because it had been so long. But these weren't going to be read for that video anyway. This is another one that I feel like was a bit meh, that a lot of people love. So I'm hoping these make it get better. And then there is 2 more that are specifically in this series, and then there's a spin-off series. But if I don't like these 2, because it originally was a trilogy, I'm pretty sure, so this should wrap it up. If I don't like these 2, I'm not continuing on to the other 2 books that are meant to be in the series or the spin-off series. Next up is the Bergman Brothers series. This is the beautiful Afterlight editions, where I'm going to awkwardly turn this around because, oh yeah, you have to put it backwards for this, for the picture to line up. Yeah, so this is the lovely little picture you get. It's designed like that so that if you were to have it on your shelves, edges out, it would still be in order. It just annoys me. The only one I have read is Only When It's Us. This is another scrapped video. I was going to read the whole series for a vlog. I can't remember why I started this when I did, but I didn't have time to finish the whole series. And it got to the point where I was like, I'm just going to scrap this because it's been so long since I read this. Again, I think I read this in July, maybe early August. I just took too long to get to the next book, so I decided not to make it a video anymore. However, Always Only You, when I first heard about this series, this is the one I was more excited for over this. So I'm excited to get to it, and one of my friends is absolutely obsessed with this series, so I am excited to finish the series as a whole. It just won't be a video anymore. I don't know whether I should have been explaining these series this whole time. I feel like this is going to be quite a long video either way. Maybe whenever I update this video, because this is the kind of video that I'll do probably maybe yearly, every 2 years, year and a half, who knows, but it is a video I'll repeat, so maybe next time I'll do that if you think I should have been doing this entire time. Next up is the Wayward Children series. This is super popular. I thought this was like okay. Like I rated it I think at 3.75, so better than just like fine, but still nothing special. But I do see the potential. I think because these books are so short and this was setting up the universe a bit, it naturally is going to be a bit not as good as I imagine the other books in the series are. So I do plan on continuing this series whenever I have the money to keep on buying 175 page books that are 15 to 20 quid. Next up we have the Rebel Blue Ranch series. So we've got Done and Dusted, Swift and Saddled. The next one is Lost and Lassoed, I think, which has just come out, and then Wild and Wrangled is yet to release. I thought this was fun. I enjoyed the relationship. There were parts of the writing that I didn't quite enjoy, but I'm pretty sure this is a debut and I do see the potential, so I am excited to continue the series. I hope that it gets better throughout the series. I do love me a cowboy romance, and these covers are adorable. I didn't love it as much as I've seen a lot of other people love this series, but we'll see how that is when I actually continue. Next up is When in Rome by Sarah Adams. So the next book is Practice Makes Perfect, and then Beg, Borrow and Steal comes out in January, and I think there's meant to be a fourth book in the series as well. I did really enjoy this, and it's closed door as well, which brings something different to the table. I feel like every romance I read is open door, and I've got nothing against that, but it was fun to have a book where there's nothing. Next up we have the Off Campus series by Elle Kennedy, which will lead into the Briar You series, and then I think the series that she's currently releasing is like the Graham Effect, the Charlie Complex, those ones. I think they're also set in this universe, but because they are separate series, this is the only one actually on my currently reading. I've read the first two, I read these back to back, so I just have these three to read to finish this series, but not to finish the universe. I started these when I started them to decide if I wanted to order the special editions that Afterlight are doing, and I have since ordered them. I did really enjoy these. Like I said, I read them back to back. I just had other things I needed to read. Otherwise I possibly would have continued. I don't know if I would have got to all five before getting bored of the same thing and needing to switch it up. Next is the Windy City series by Liz Tomford. I have read Mile High. The next one is The Right Move, which is This Is Hockey, This Is Basketball. The third one is Caught Up, and then there is Play Along, and there's a fifth one that will be coming out. And I really enjoyed the relationship in this, but I did think it was overwritten. I think it was over-explained. A lot of things like that was said, I was like, okay, we get it, this has been said before. This book is shorter, and I saw Play Along at work yesterday. Was it yesterday? No, 2 days ago. I saw Play Along at work, and that's even shorter than this, so it does look like the series is getting shorter and shorter as we go along, which gives me hope in that the issue I had with this won't be prevalent for the rest of the series, because that was really the only issue I had. I need to get caught up with this series next year, because the fifth book will release next year and will likely be nominated for the Goodreads Choice Awards, and I want to either have read a lot of the romance by the time the awards come about so that I can make an informed vote. This year I'd only read one when it's announced. Or be caught up with all the series in it so that I can read to make an informed vote. Whether that's for a video or not, I don't know yet, but I want to definitely be caught up in series at the very least, so that I don't have to read 5 books to get to the book that's nominated. The last series that I'm going to mention is the Maple Hill series by Hannah Grace. Now I have read all of these books, and these are all the ones that are currently out. They're also all the books that have been officially announced. However, Hannah Grace has said she's interested in continuing the series, and on her page it says that she originally planned 7 books. I don't know whether all 7 will come out, because I assume that's what she had in her head when she first wrote Icebreaker, and she won't she doesn't necessarily have a 7-book deal. I don't know how many books she has a deal for, but I'm sure Simon & Schuster will keep on publishing because these books have done so well. So I am counting it as an up-to-date series because I do think she is going to continue. So it's not adding any numbers to the tally, but I did just want to mention it because technically this is a currently reading series because it's not been finished publishing to my knowledge. Okay, that is finally the end of all the series I am in the middle of. I won't know till I'm editing what these tallies are of how many books I have left that I physically own that I can read to catch up, and how many books, including the ones that I own, including the ones I don't own yet, including the ones that aren't released yet but have officially been confirmed. I don't know what these tallies look like yet because I'm gonna do that in my edit. I haven't been keeping track in my head, but I imagine it's a pretty scary looking number. So yes, if you want to see any of these series, particularly like any books from these series in vlogs, please do let me know. I do plan on doing a series next year to work on bringing my series down. So any books that you think should be featured in those vlogs, please do let me know. If you would like to follow me on Instagram, I actually haven't posted in like a week, but I do have a bookish Instagram as well as my personal. Everything will be linked down below as always. If you got this far, leave the book stack emoji, like as if it's a series, whatever. But if you did like this video, please give it a like. If you fancy subscribing, it would be much appreciated, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!